You ever see a species realize they've made the worst decision in recorded history in real time? Because that's what's happening right now. The Galactic Council is in absolute chaos. And by chaos, I mean the kind of planet-destroying, career-ending, who the hell thought this was a good idea kind of chaos. Order. Order in the chamber. High Chancellor Vorca snarls, his voice vibrating through the grand hall like a malfunctioning subwoofer. His 12 eyes flash across the room, struggling to contain the sheer panic radiating from every representative present. The reason? The Vorca Dominion, one of the most war-hardened expansionist empires in the known galaxy, just did the one thing we've all been explicitly warned never to do. They killed a human colony. Not a military outpost, not a strategic target, a civilian colony. The Vorca ambassador, General Zarnak, stands stone-faced in front of the council, arms crossed, oozing the smug confidence of a species that still thinks they have the upper hand. It was a necessary strategic maneuver, he says, voice calm, measured, exactly the way someone sounds before they realize they have screwed up beyond all possible repair. The room erupts in overlapping arguments, but I don't listen, because I already know what's coming. I'm Ambassador Kresh of the Zulkar Commonwealth, and unlike the rest of these clueless bureaucrats, I've actually studied human history. And right now, I'm calculating the exact number of light years I need to put between myself and the impending disaster. This is a gross overreaction, Zarnak continues, completely missing the point. The colony was insignificant. We expected negotiations, not hysteria. Oh, you dumb, war crime committing, oxygen-wasting son of a black hole. I can't stop myself. I laugh, out loud. Every eye, optical sensor, and sensory appendage in the chamber turns toward me. Oh, you poor, sweet, doomed bastards, I say, wiping a tear from my primary visual organ. You really don't know much about humans, do you? High Chancellor Vorca glares at me, his massive crystalline body pulsing with stress. Ambassador Kresh, do you have relevant information? Relevant? Number crucial? Absolutely. I pull up my own data display. You see, while the rest of you were busy trading with humans, accepting their medical advances, and laughing at their primitive but charming technology, did any of you actually study their military history? The blank stares in response answer my question. I sigh, shaking my head. Humans have a saying, mess with the bull, get the horns. I pause, smirking. Though, in this case, it's more like mess with the species that perfected the art of warfare before they even left their own planet. Another silence, this one heavy with dawning realization. Surely they wouldn't... Someone mutters in the back. Wouldn't what? I snap. Wouldn't react? Wouldn't retaliate? Wouldn't glass an entire empire just to make a point? Wouldn't hunt you down to the last biological molecule just to remind the galaxy that they don't start wars, they end them? Before anyone can respond, every emergency alarm in the chamber starts blaring. The holographic display flickers, shifting to a tactical screen. Incoming ships, lots of them. Earth's entire fleet has just mobilized. The warships are nothing like the peaceful research vessels we were used to seeing from humans. No sleek designs, no elegant curves. These ships look like they were built to punch through the laws of physics and slap reality itself in the face. Armored, bristling with weaponry, moving in tight, terrifying formation. The council stares, horrified. Someone whispers, "Stars help us?" I just settle back in my chair watching the show. Well, I mutter, I hope the Vorca enjoyed their little moment of victory, because they're about to learn why humans put warning labels on everything. The thing about humans is that when they go quiet, you should already be writing your will. The Vorca Dominion, in all their glorious arrogance, still hadn't figured that out. The Galactic Council chamber was so silent, you could hear an ion engine hum, every representative staring in horror at the tactical display. The human fleet had mobilized, and now every single warship bore a single, chilling transmission across their hulls. Retribution in progress. No warnings, no negotiations. Just a simple statement of fact. This is absurd, Vorca General Zarnak snarled, his mandibles clicking in frustration. They're bluffing. They wouldn't... The Vorca Homeworld's outer defense stations went offline. Every screen in the chamber flickered, showing the footage in real time. No explosions, no weapons fire. One moment, the stations were active. The next, every single one of them had gone dark. Systems wiped, communications down, like someone had simply unplugged them from reality. What the hell are they doing? Someone muttered. I almost felt bad for them. Almost. I leaned forward, barely suppressing a smirk. They're making a point. They haven't fired a single shot, the Rulathi ambassador hissed. They're just shutting everything down? Oh no, I corrected. They're testing you. And then, as if to confirm my theory, every Vorca military facility on every colony they controlled went dark simultaneously. No destruction, no violence, just absolute, terrifying silence. Impossible, Zarnak choked out. Our systems are being surgically removed from existence, I finished. They're seeing how far they can go before you start begging. We do not beg, Zarnak snapped. That's when the Vorca flagship exploded. Not in battle, not under siege. It just detonated. Every single failsafe, every emergency protocol, bypassed in seconds. And then, as if to twist the knife, a human transmission played across the chamber. No face, no threats, just a calm, emotionless voice. Do you understand the consequences of your actions? The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Zarnak trembled, his arrogance cracking for the first time. What do they want? The transmission resumed. Final warning. You have 24 hours to decide whether the Vorca Dominion continues to exist. The chamber was silent. No one spoke. No one breathed. Finally, someone whispered, "Stars, help us." I let out a slow exhale and leaned back in my chair. Oh, they would need a lot more than stars. Because the Vorca weren't dealing with diplomacy anymore. They were dealing with a species that had just removed their ability to fight back in less than an hour, and they weren't done yet. Zarnak stared at the transmission in stunned horror, his claws gripping the table so hard it looked like he might break it. The human officer on the screen was calm, detached, like he was discussing a minor policy change rather than delivering a death sentence. Your civilization has been marked for de-escalation, he said with the same energy as a bureaucrat rejecting a permit application. Your military capabilities have been reduced by 94%. You will not recover. Zarnak felt his lungs seize up. Not crippled, not weakened, reduced, like their entire military structure had been boiled down to a problem on a spreadsheet that humanity had now solved. The council chamber was silent, every representative frozen in place, their horror mirrored in their own expressions. Zarnak tried to speak, but his throat felt dry. This wasn't war. This wasn't conquest. It was a controlled demolition of an entire empire, and they had no idea how to stop it. The human continued, unfazed. Your leadership is no longer in control. Your colonies are no longer under your command. Your fleets are no longer yours to direct. You have 12 hours to formally dissolve the Vorca Dominion. Zarnak lurched forward, slamming a fist on the table. You can't. The human officer blinked once. Correction, you have 6 hours. Zarnak staggered back as if struck. The deadline had just been shortened. Not because of some strategy or response, but because he had annoyed them. He had interrupted. The humans weren't negotiating. They were making it clear that this conversation was a courtesy. No one in the council chamber spoke. No one dared. The silence was heavy, suffocating, like the entire galaxy had collectively realized that humans weren't just angry. They were casually, methodically ending an empire, as if clearing out bad accounting records. And just when it seemed like things couldn't get worse for the Vorca, the execution started. One by one, every military commander, warlord, and strategist that had been part of the attack on the human colony began disappearing. Not killed in battle, not captured, just gone. At first, the Vorca assumed it was assassinations, some kind of elite strike force surgically removing leadership. Then came the videos. Every single one of them was broadcast live across Vorca-controlled space. The galaxy watched as high-ranking Vorca officers woke up in a dark, featureless room, sitting at a table across from a single human in uniform, No weapons, no restraints, just a calm, expressionless human holding a data pad. Your empire is over. Your fleets are disabled. Your defenses are gone. We can end this here, or you can continue to resist, and we will continue to escalate. Sign the surrender order. Some refused. Those videos ended quickly. Some tried to bargain. The human would blink, check their data pad, then shorten the deadline again. Others complied. Those were the only ones who got to leave. Zarnak's body locked up as the next video feed switched to his own homeworld. A massive human warship now hung in orbit, its hull painted with two simple words: Final Notice. The planetary defense systems were down, the shipyards offline, their fleets now floating dead in space. He finally understood. They weren't going to invade. They weren't going to conquer. Humanity had just turned them off. Their entire empire was a dying machine, the power source ripped out, gears grinding to a slow and inevitable halt, and there was nothing they could do to stop it. Zarnak's breath came in short, ragged bursts as he stared at the final notice painted across the massive human warship hovering over his homeworld. His species had spent centuries conquering, expanding, and crushing lesser civilizations under their heel. But now they weren't even worth conquering. The humans weren't here to rule, they were here to erase. The council chamber was paralyzed with fear, the weight of the situation pressing down on every representative present. Not because they had any love for the Vorca, but because they were all collectively realizing this could have been any of them. The humans had never flaunted their military power. They had let everyone assume they were weak. And now, the lie had been stripped away, leaving behind a reality so horrifying that no one could even process it. Zarnak could barely move as a final transmission appeared on the main screen. The same human officer, same calm expression, same cold efficiency. Your empire has been processed for termination. The words felt sterile, like he was reading off a report. Your species will not be exterminated. However, the concept of the Vorca Dominion is now obsolete. Zarnak trembled, his claws digging into the table. We surrender, he gasped, voice shaking. We surrender. Just tell us your terms. The human didn't blink. The terms were given 12 hours ago. You refused. We have adjusted accordingly. Zarnak's stomach dropped. He had spent his entire life leading a war machine, assuming he always had a way out, a way to negotiate, to posture, to intimidate. But the humans? They didn't negotiate, they corrected. The next video feed showed his homeworld from orbit. The humans still hadn't fired a single shot. They didn't need to. Instead, every major city began flickering offline. Power plants shut down. Infrastructure collapsed. Automated factories stopped production. The entire planet was being turned into a pre-industrial wasteland. You can't, Zarnak screamed, watching as his entire civilization fell apart in real time. You wouldn't. The Galactic Council won't allow. The Galactic Council is not relevant to this action. The human's voice was flat, emotionless, completely unbothered by the weight of an empire collapsing beneath him. The Vorca Dominion no longer exists. You are now a refugee species. The words landed like a death sentence. An entire civilization, reduced to nothing in a matter of days, not through war, not through occupation, but because the humans had simply decided they were done with them. There would be no rebuilding, no recovery. The Vorca would scatter, their people begging for scraps across the galaxy, nothing more than a cautionary tale for any species stupid enough to think humanity was weak. Zarnak felt his knees buckle. He had led armies, commanded fleets, ruled over billions, and now he was a relic of a dead empire. He collapsed into his seat, shaking, staring blankly at the screen as the final message came through. The human officer leaned forward slightly, for the first time showing something that almost resembled emotion. Next time, read the warning labels. The transmission cut. The human fleet vanished as quickly as it had arrived, leaving only silence. The Vorca were gone. The Empire was over. And the galaxy? The galaxy had just learned a very expensive lesson. So, what do you think? Was humanity's response justified, or did they take it too far? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to see where you stand. And if you enjoyed this, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon because, trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next.